Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. So I've gotten questions on TikTok mainly because I share a lot of my travel content on TikTok. It's just faster. If you want to follow me there, then the link is in the description. Anyway, so I've gotten questions on there on my safety solo travel tips. So here are 10 safety tips I follow as a female solo traveler. These are my personal tips. These are tips I do. Anyone can do it differently. Let's go ahead. Number one, I never announce or say on the internet the exact dates of where I'm going. That's just something I do because obviously I'm on the internet and there are crazy people out there. So when I usually go places, I will not say I will go to this place on this and that date unless it's for work or for like a group travel. But if it's my personal trip, I will not mention the trip until I'm actually there. So you always just see me move in silence. I just move like that. My friends even barely know where I'm at tomorrow. I just like to do it like that. Usually my family and some friends will know where I go when, but other than that, you will not know when I'm where. And that is actually also a good safety measure because you don't want to put it out on Facebook, Instagram when you're going solo and be like, oh, I'll be solo traveling to this exact place at this date, and even saying where you're staying, stuff like that. You know, be careful with that. I always say move in silence. So when you're traveling, just make your travel plans, make your trip plans, tell your family and friends, but the rest has no business knowing it until you're actually at the place. Number two also actually goes with number one. When I'm at the place, I never share my location in real time. Whenever I'm sharing something on social media, it's usually a couple of hours, weeks, or even months after. Or it shouldn't be months after, but yeah, sometimes. Anyways, I just post when I'm already gone, when I've already left the place. I just don't like to post places where I'm actually at the moment. It's just a safety measure I also take. I never post anything in real time. Anything you see on Instagram, on TikTok, it is not posted in real time. It has been before. I'm past, way gone already. That's just a security measure you should take also when you're traveling solo, especially as a female solo traveler, to not share your location in real time. Stories, whatever you're sharing on social media, you're tagging a location, just do it after you've already left the place. Number three depends on everybody's personal preference, and that's accommodation. I have stayed in hostels, Airbnbs, hotels. When I'm traveling solo, however, I just prefer most times to stay at hostels because it's just easier to meet people. And when I travel solo, I don't actually want to be solo. It sounds contradictory, but when I travel solo, I just like to be able to do whatever I want, not have to depend on people and wait on people to go places. But when I'm actually at the place, I also like to meet people, meet new people, make friends, go out with those people. So you will see me on my trips always with people. Of course, sometimes I'm also alone. I'm not all the time with people, but that's just something I personally prefer. That's also a way I just feel safer when I'm at a place where I know there are other travelers. I'm not by myself at a hotel room. Of course, in a hotel is also safe, but I've been, for example, in an Airbnb for 3 months by myself, and I didn't really like it, to be honest. I had the space and everything. It was nice to be able to have your own space and kind of like feel like you're at home, but I just sometimes didn't feel that safe in a way because I was just all by myself. So I personally prefer to be at hostels, and like I said, it's just easier to meet people. They're going out, they're gonna ask you, hey, what are you doing tonight? So it's super easy to meet people, and that's just how I like it. So that's a good tip if you also want to travel like that. Also, of course, when you're traveling, you might want to meet up with people from certain dating apps. If you do that, make sure to share the person's address, their full name, to someone you're close with in the country you're actually traveling. I was in Brazil. I went on a date and I went to another city. I traveled with someone I had just met. I actually left the full name, the full address to a friend I had met in Brazil, and I told her, okay, here, this is the guy's address, this is everything, all his information. Please keep it, you know, just in case. And I also let him know that I've shared his information. So he knows, the person knows, okay, you are not solo completely by yourself, but you actually have shared their information. And there's actually someone who, in case if something happens, will look for you. So definitely make sure to let the person know that you're not completely solo, because solo traveling, people might assume you're completely by yourself, you don't know anyone. No, let the person know that you actually know people. Even if you don't, just invent that. But for safety reasons, definitely share the contact to someone else. Also, this is something which should be quite obvious. Only meet at public places with strangers, with people you don't know. Don't go to some neighborhoods you don't know, because a lot of things can happen. To be safe always, make sure you don't go to random neighborhoods you don't know. Even if you're meeting people at a party and they say, let's go to an after party, a lot of solo travelers, female solo travelers do that, and also guys do that, and they end up at some sketchy places with people and situations they didn't want to be in. So just be careful to not do that. Friends of mine did that in Colombia. They were solo travelers, they met each other and they went to a party, and there they met some Colombian guys. The guys were locals, so they took them to an after party. But the thing is, the after party was where they live, and it was one of the most dangerous areas and neighborhoods in all of Cartagena, the city where we're at. So they ended up being there and not getting a cab back, because for like hours no cab would actually want to go to that place because it's super dangerous. And then they came back, and all of my other Colombian friends were like, you were where? The girls had no idea that this place was actually very, very dangerous. So definitely make sure to always research where you're going. Don't just blindly follow people, not even if they're local. Let's get to the next point. I actually love to make local friends anywhere I travel to. I always want to be friends with locals, want to do local stuff. So I don't really like to be at a place and just hang around tourists. No, I'm not there for that. I always like to make friends. I always go out looking for places where I can meet locals. So I definitely advise you to do that too if you can, because it's just always better with locals. They know the places to go to, they know what food to eat, they know where to party, they know where not to go to. I always just end up doing things with locals and they become my friends, and that's the most fun thing. And that's actually also safe, especially when you're traveling solo, to meet local people, because they know their city, their place more than anyone else. Also, even though you might be solo, doesn't mean that you always have to go everywhere alone. When you're actually in a group, a lot of times it can save you from many situations. So try to also mingle and be with people and not by yourself all the time, at least not when you're going somewhere, for example, at night, going at the beach at night by yourself, things like that, because when you're by yourself and you're a foreigner, you're a tourist, you're always an easier target. Also, this one is quite obvious for any big city really around the world, not just if you solo travel, but this is for any traveler. Make sure you don't show your things around, you don't show your valuables walking around with a camera like that, with the phone out, like even in Paris I do that. I don't take my phone out in a metro because I got my phone snatched out of my hands, and that was like I was traumatized by that. So I never do that, and I have so many friends who can tell the same story, just their phone snatched out of their hands and stuff like that. So those are things that really happen in big cities usually, so just be mindful of that, traveling, that it can also happen. A lot of times people, when they travel, they're like, oh, those places, this place is dangerous because this happened to me. Even in your hometown, especially if it's a big city, the same thing might happen. A lot of times also tourists are very careless from what I see personally. Don't go around flaunting your things, just be discreet. And this is especially important when you're traveling solo. Also, another tip I can give is to always dress like locals. Try to blend in as much as you can. Whenever I'm in Brazil, anywhere I travel, I like to look at how locals dress and kind of dress like them, so I blend in more. I don't stick out as like the tourists. Of course, a lot of times they're gonna know that I'm not from there, but a lot of times also they think that I'm actually from the place. Unless I speak, they ask me, oh wait, maybe you might have a little accent. They're like, okay, where are you from? Other than that, they think I'm from there. When I'm in Brazil, for example, on a day-to-day, I don't walk around with my heels, my gold jewelry out and everything. In Rio, no, I dress down. I dress how Cariocas, people from Rio, dress. And that is flip-flops, shorts, and a shirt. That's it. Very simple. And that's how I dress, because I've learned to adapt to the way locals dress. And that's just also a safety measure, because a lot of times if you dress like that, you won't stick out as a tourist, because tourists are easier targets. So those were the most common safety tips for female solo travelers.